I have a track of the rock variety. Let's hear it with the Freqtube bypassed. So I've started with a preset which is called Mastering Air. So it's going to add some, air to the high frequencies. I've tweaked it a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll play it through again and I'll flick the bypass on and off. When the bypass is lit up like that, the Freqtube is bypassed and there's no processing. So here we go. It's quite subtle, but this is something where you don't really want to be aware of the effect. It just has to be. And this just is. So I'm going to play with the controls a bit. I'll start with the drive. And I've got it on plus 18 there because that gives an extra 18 decibels of boost. So it normally only goes up to 12, but I've got it on effectively 23, which sounds like a lot, but I need a lot. This is the parallel filter, and this affects the dry signal, and in this case I'm not using it, so the filter is switched out. This is the primary filter, which affects the tubified signal, and I've got a high-pass filter at 12 decibels per octave, and the frequency it really is quite high, so it's around about 10 kilohertz. A lot of people might say, oh, I can't hear 10 kilohertz. Well, I'm going to tell you that I can hear this effect, and I'm sure so can you. Let's play with the drive first. You see, there is such a thing as too much air. If you listen to the hi-hat when it's on the really high setting, it's too much. Okay, so I'm back where I was at 5 plus 18. I'll have a little go with the primary filter and see what the frequency control does for us. So there's a certain point where it's nice, and there's a certain point where it's not doing anything, and there's a certain point where it's not nice. I vote we go for nice. Let's try the different tubes and see what we get here. We might see a green banner popping up here, but it's because I'm using screen recording software. But we'll be okay, don't worry about it. I'm not going to worry. Here we go. So subtle difference, but in this case I prefer the E83cc. Let's try the harmonics. If you had a sine wave as the input, the harmonics control would do this, and it would do this. And this presumably is a representation of the harmonics. So let's play with that and see what we get. It's a subtle difference, but I prefer it in this kind of area, so I don't think we need to be too precise about that. I'll just have a go again. Yeah, that's my preference just there. Now, when you use the filters, the analog mix control becomes very important. The dry signal, if you're using the parallel filter, is filtered, so it becomes extra important. But we're only using the primary filter, but we do have to get this in the right position. Let's just do it. Obviously, in the wet position, it's completely unusable, so this is why we need to fine-tune it around here somewhere. Okay, that's where I like it. I'll finish off by playing the track through and I'll flick the bypass in and out. We'll start with it out. Here we go. Good job. I cut it off before I really started singing. There we have it, the Freqtube on rock music.